The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for February 11th, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 45, and episode number 559 in the long-running podcast. It is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard, and yes, I do not have my co-host with me. She is on vacation. She's down in Florida, traveling around to races and checking out the sights and scenes of a much more warmer climate than what we have here, of course, in Binghamton, New York. However, the weather has been improving and changing and getting a little bit better, so that is great. Now, the Binghamton Black Bears are preparing for their two-game trip to Port Huron, Michigan, so we'll be talking about that a lot today. And, of course, we have great interviews. We have two great interviews, right? First with associate head coach John Quenneville of the Binghamton Black Bears. But before him, we will be playing our interview with Port Huron broadcaster Will Wiegelman. Will is a great friend of the show, great friend to me, and it's always good to be able to get to talk to him and get him back on the show just to talk about the Prowlers, especially just before we play against them. And that will be a lot of fun. They do a great job there in Port Huron. And I know Brooks Hill is going to be heading out there and doing the games. And two great broadcasters right there that we have here in the FPHL, just right here in Binghamton and, of course, in Port Huron. So two great guests. I'm going to preview, obviously, the games against the Port Huron Prowlers and get you caught up on the history of these two teams. And, of course, then get you set up and ready. We have, again, like I said, great interview. So you're going to have a lot of great information here. But I'm going to quickly move through this. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today. You might be able to hear it in my voice. It might be a little bit deeper than you normally expect. But we'll get through this. And, next Thursday, we will have our poster giveaway return with Taylor on vacation. We're going to let her do her thing on vacation. So no poster giveaway this weekend, but next weekend we will definitely have it. It'll return, and we're very excited to have it come back and have all the fans have a chance to get a Power Play Post Show Binghamton Black Bears 11x14 poster, which is pretty cool. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net. And coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, as I just mentioned, Binghamton Black Bears associate coach John Quenneville and from the Port Huron Prowlers, broadcaster Will Wiegelman. So stay tuned for those two great interviews here on the show. And I was actually feeling better. My voice probably sounds a lot better in those two interviews than it does right now. That's how quickly everything kind of went down for me. The Power Play Post Show relies on your support to grow. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like the episode. Those actions help YouTube recommend the show to more hockey fans, expanding our reach and supporting future content. Subscribe and like to help the show continue moving forward. Okay, so obviously probably the biggest news. I'm going to talk a little bit about news for a second, because really the only news that we have right now around the Black Bears is the return of Tyson Kirkby. That's right. Tyson Kirkby returns from his stint with the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. And so he returns. Up there, he played 5 games and scored 2 goals with the Dogs. So he has returned. Yesterday I was at practice and I did see him on a line with Jacob Shankar and Garrett Sargis. So Sargis was, I believe, on his left side, and Jacob Shankar was on his right side. Now, whether or not that stays that way going into Friday's game, that's where he was practicing right there, which I think is a great line. It could be a nice, gritty grinder kind of line where they could go in and really just, lay on the body. All three of them definitely could lay the body on Port Huron Prowlers and maybe combat a little bit of the physicalness that the Prowlers might bring. Because, if the Prowlers try to play just hockey and they try to just pass the puck and move the puck up and forecheck a little bit, they're going to get beat by the Black Bears. That's just the way it is. It's the way what we've seen most of the time this year. I think, Twin City and PD had some success playing just hockey with us, but they also have a different sort of player. They have different players that will, that can play that type of game a little bit more. I don't think Port Huron can. They're built more on defense, having a good penalty kill, and so on. So, but I think a great addition for the Black Bears is to have Tyson back. Connor McAnanima was put onto the 14-day IR, as well as Zach Sirota up in the SPHL. So not going to see those two guys back anytime soon, but coming back from Roanoke is Tyson Kirkby. All right, let's preview the Binghamton Black Bears versus the Port Huron Prowlers, 2-game set this weekend in Port Huron, Michigan. Now, the Black Bears will be leaving on Thursday morning, as they usually do, and traveling to Michigan. So if they go around the lakes, I believe it's a 14-hour trip. Some of the guys, if they have the ability to, might go between the lakes and then go through Detroit to get there. That is a shorter trip. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. I know in the past, some guys have come back through in a car separately. Whether or not that happens, not really sure how they're going to handle it. But bus ride, it's about 14 hours to get to Port Huron. This will be the 5th in the 6 meetings of the seasons between the Prowlers and the Black Bears. In the previous 4 meetings, the Black Bears are 3-1-0 versus the Prowlers. So we've done okay. We've done good. In the first game of the season against the Prowlers on October 31st, it was a win for the Black Bears, a 5-3 win with Austin Thompson having a hat trick. Ivan Bondarenko had 3 assists, and Dominic Tomei got the win in that game. Now, on the next night, on Saturday, November 1st, the Prowlers got the win, a 4-1 win for the Prowlers. Tim Kim had the lone goal for the Black Bears, and C-Mac was in that game. He only gave up 3 goals. The last goal was an extra attacker goal or an empty net goal for the Prowlers. Let's see here. Sorry, it was an empty netter. Then on December 5th in Binghamton, now these 2 games were in Binghamton. The first 2 games that they played against each other was in Port Huron, Michigan, if I didn't mention that earlier. But in the next 2 games, which were December 5th and 6th, on Friday the 5th, the Prowlers, the Black Bears had a huge game. It was a 9-1 victory for the Black Bears. Gavin Yates had 4 goals in that game. If you remember, that was Gavin Yates' 4-goal game. CJ Stubbs had 2 goals, and Dominic Tomei was in net for that particular game. The next night on December 6th, the Port Huron Prowlers and Black Bears, the Black Bears got a 3-1 win. Dean Stone got the game winner. He got the 2nd goal of the game and got the game winner, and Dominic Tomei was in net on that. Now, this is kind of probably the positive thing. It's something that me and Will Wiegelman talk about in the interview, and you'll hear that in just a few minutes, is that we're really looking at this weekend the 2 best goaltenders in the league right now, Dominic Tomei and, of course, Reid Cooper for the Prowlers. Those 2 goalies are realistically the best at the moment. They're going to be going against each other. But Tomei, in my opinion, has 3 wins against the Prowlers this year. That's pretty impressive. And I know Reid Cooper has not really gotten a win against the Black Bears except for the 1 win where they won 4-1 on November 1st. So I think that puts the Black Bears and their confidence going into these games in a good way. They know how to play against the Prowlers. They know how the Prowlers are going to play against them for the most part. And so I think this is going to be a good weekend. After the weekend series, the two teams will meet 2 more times in Binghamton, completing the 8-game regular season series. In Binghamton, they will play again on Friday, March 13th, and then the final game between the two teams will be on Friday, April 3rd. So those last two games are split up. So I kind of like that because you see one team one night and then you see another team the other night. Those 2 weekends are built that way, which I really like a lot. And I know that the Prowlers will be in one game, they'll play us, and then the next night they'll play in Danbury. And then in the other game, they will play us, and then they'll play Watertown the next night. So they have to travel a little bit, where the Black Bears will not be traveling. The Prowlers were off last weekend, but played in Watertown for 2 games 2 weekends ago, winning both games by the score of 3-2. On Friday, January 30th, the Prowlers won 3-2 in Watertown, with Brian Parsons getting the game-winning goal with just 2:41 left to go in the third period. So some late scoring there for the Prowlers to help them win. On Saturday, the 31st, the Prowlers won again in Watertown 3-2, but it took to overtime as Bobby Price netted the game winner 2:55 into the overtime period. Now, Prowlers might not score as much as the Black Bears in a regular season or in games. However, the Prowlers do have guys that know how to score clutch goals, very much like Bobby Price, Lucas Lackney, Matt Graham. These are guys that know how to score important goals. The Black Bears last weekend also won both of their games by the same score, but with a 5-0 result on both nights for the home team over the Indiana Sentinels. Okay. On Friday, February 6th, the Black Bears shut out the Sentinels 5-0, with Dominic Tomei earning his second shutout of the season and the Black Bears scoring 3 shorthanded goals and a power play goal. Now, on Saturday, February 7th, the Black Bears again shut out the Sentinels 5-0, with Dominic Tomei repeating his performance from the night before, marking his 3rd shutout of the season. Now, the Black Bears did score a power play goal in the Saturday night game, which means that 5 of their 10 goals on the weekend were on the specialty teams. I think teams playing against the Black Bears are starting to realize they cannot score or not give up too many power plays to the Black Bears. It will change the way they play their games, and maybe even including the Port Huron Prowlers this upcoming weekend. So we'll certainly see how the Prowlers come out and play. If they play physical, they could obviously take the chance of scoring penalties or creating penalties and giving Black Bears the opportunity. So we'll see how they play. If they try to play straight up hockey with Binghamton and that's it, and just run and gun and playing north to south, east to west, the Black Bears are prepared for that. They know what they did wrong in the games against PD and against the Twin City Thunderbirds. So whether or not the Prowlers are going to be effective doing that, I don't know. I think they're going to have to play physical against Binghamton and see how Binghamton reacts from that. The Empire Division's first place Black Bears are 32-5-1 through 38 games with 95 points. They have scored 195 goals and allowed 89. The Empire Division's second place Prowlers are 22-12-0 through 34 games with 63 points. They have scored 108 goals and allowed 93 goals. The Prowlers are led by Alex Johnson with 34 games played, 6 goals, 27 assists for 33 points, 2 power play goals, and 2 game-winning goals. Matt Graham, 34 games played, 14 goals, 17 assists for 31 points, 5 power play goals, and 5 game-winning goals. Lucas Lackney, 29 games played, 8 goals, 19 assists for 27 points, 2 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. Reid Cooper is 17-7-0 with a 2.27 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. And then the Black Bears, and this is where you really see the difference between the Black Bears and a lot of teams. CJ Stubbs in 38 games played, 30 goals, 45 assists for 75 points, 12 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 8 game-winning goals. You take the top 2 goal scorers or scorers in Port Huron, and they don't even total up to 75 points. Ivan Bondarenko, 38 games played, 11 goals, 56 assists for 67 points, 1 power play goal, and 1 shorthanded goal. Gavin Yates, 34 games played, 21 goals, 32 assists for 53 points, 8 power play goals, and 2 game-winning goals. Dominic Tomei is 2-0 with a 1.89 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. Literally, this is like the 2 best defensive teams in the league, 2 of the best defensive teams in the league, and the best offensive team in the league. To me, that's a result in the Black Bears winning, but they have to play the games on the ice, of course. Specialty teams. Binghamton's power play is ranked still first in the league, 62 power play goals, 28% conversion rate. And then on the PK, they are ranked first as well with only giving up 19 power play goals against and an 89% kill rate, which is outstanding. The power now with the Port Huron Prowlers, they're probably one of their weakest parts of their games is their power play. They're ranked 12th. They have 27 power play goals, which is more than half less than the Black Bears. They only convert 14% of the time. The Black Bears convert 28% of the time. It's crazy on how it's doubled. On the PK, they are ranked 5th with 33 power play goals against an 82% kill rate. Now, again, the Prowlers are going to have to be good on that because if they're physical and they take penalties, they're going to have to kill a lot of penalties or a lot of power plays of the Black Bears. And that's going to be, I think, very tough for them to do. So that's the preview. Now I'm going to rest my voice and we're going to play some interviews. So the first interview is going to be with, of course, Port Huron Prowlers broadcaster Will Wiegelman. And then right after that, will be an interview with John Quenneville of the Binghamton Black Bears, the associate head coach. Very excited to have him on. He did bust my chops a little bit. Felt that I took a little too long to get to interviewing him, but he's been on the show, and I think we're going to have him back on the show again at some point here in the future, maybe just before we go into the playoffs. It'll be nice to have him back on to talk about how the team is going to prepare and be ready to go into the playoffs. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is Will Wiegelman. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. If Port Huron is either coming to town or we're going there, you know I'm eventually going to have this guy on the show to talk a little bit about the Prowlers and, of course, the series that is coming up. And that, of course, is their broadcaster, my friend, Will Wiegelman. Will, welcome back to the show. It's great to talk to you. And I hope it's warmer there than it is here because we've gone through this big, deep freeze and a lot of snow, and we're just happy for some warmer weather.
Bob, it's great to be on again. We actually reached 20 today.
Oh.
So I was bringing out the shorts. I was ready to go swimming in the lake, but then I realized it was still frozen. But yeah, no, I was feeling good at about 20 degrees earlier today.
Well, just 3 days ago, we had minus 25. And that was so cold that we had pipes freezing here at the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York. So I'm just glad it's starting to warm up. I'm glad that by the weekend I might see 40 degrees on the temperature again. That is shorts weather for, at least for someone like me, and I'm sure it is for someone like you. I hope everything's been going well with you.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a long season. And lots more to come, certainly for us schedule-wise. But it's always great when the two best teams in the Empire can get together.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think a lot of people probably looked, and I'm going to guess that the Prowlers staff was looking at this as well. When PD came in, beat Binghamton in the Saturday game, and then the following weekend, something that Twin City has not been able to do. They won 2 games against the Binghamton Black Bears in a row, something that they wish they probably could have done in the finals the last couple of years, but they were not able to do until now. And that was 10 straight games that they had lost to Binghamton before they came in and won those. I'm guessing that it raised some eyebrows to see Binghamton lose 3 in a row, even in Port Huron.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was certainly keeping tabs on those games during our broadcasts those nights, but you know what they say, any given Friday or Saturday in this league, no matter who you are. So it was certainly interesting. I know the Black Bears got a little bit back on track last weekend, but I'm sure the coaching staff for the Prowlers looking at those games, trying to see if they can take some stuff from there.
Now, you guys, the last couple of weeks, have been doing all right. You guys played against the Watertown Wolves last weekend. Or no, actually 2 weekends ago, right? Because you guys had last weekend off, if I remember correctly. Reid Cooper had gone up to Kalamazoo. He's back. And I know Binghamton Black Bears captain Tyson Kirkby's back. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But a couple weekends ago, you guys played 2 games against Watertown in the North Country of New York and got 2 3-2 wins. One of them was in overtime. How is the team playing, and how did they play up there against Watertown? Justin Coachman always seems to have a team that they may lose, but they don't lose easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, those games, for anyone who watched them, know that there was just so many bizarre moments throughout those games. In the Friday game, there was a goal that the Prowlers scored in the second period as the net got knocked off. Roger Powers, the Wolves defenseman, knocked Alex Johnson into the net, like from the side of the net, while Vinny DeCumbis was shooting the puck from the slot, and DeCumbis scored, but the net was kind of knocked off. That led to a lengthy review. And then the following day, before the Saturday game, I actually had the referee, Bill Lyons, come up to me while I was getting ready for the broadcast, and he sent me screenshots of the rules that were cited when upholding explain it on the pregame show. So I guess there was a lot of backlash about that one being allowed. So, that was interesting. And then the game-winning goal on that Friday was scored from the red line. From Brian Parsons. He just tossed the puck in, and it took one of those hops right at the hash marks in the slot and bounced over Brendan Colgan's shoulder. I don't think Brian Parsons could do that again if he tried. But so, I mean, that was just a weird way to end that game, and that goal came with under 3 minutes left. And then the Saturday game, the OT winner from Bobby Price got reviewed for a long, long time because it wasn't, we weren't sure if it went in or not. It went in and out so quick, and they eventually upheld it as a good goal. But that ended up being a lengthy review as well. So some strange happenings in Watertown Municipal Arena. I'm sure you guys know a thing or two about that. But
no. It's good, clean games up there. That's all I'm going to say. It's never strange up there. And I'm not insinuating anything. I love when the team goes up there to play. I wish the internet was a little bit better for everybody involved, but I hear you were able to get a broadcast going up there.
Yeah, we got 2 broadcasts off from that building, and that's something that I think is a big feather in the cap of our entire production team, from Aiden Bricker, who travels with me, and he's our second camera on the road, which is something that I don't think any other team in the league has, like another camera that they can control themselves on the road. And then everyone back in our studios here in Michigan, who, put in a lot of work and a lot of effort to make sure that we were able to do that. And you know what? We went in, we weren't sure we were going to expect from a broadcast perspective, but we were able to get what we needed. And, we got the broadcast off, and, shout out to Jeff Barrett, the broadcaster for Watertown. They got a new player last minute on that Saturday, and he was able to get all the information to me that I needed in enough time before my broadcast. So shout out to him as well.
When we look at the differences between like the haves and have-nots, like maybe in the Empire Division, you guys just saw Watertown, close games, 3-2 wins for you guys. You'd almost think that like if puck luck went their way a little bit, they could have had 2 wins against you guys. But it really does tell you how close these teams are now in the Empire Division. And you could talk about this a little bit with the Continental Division the last couple years, but the more and more we get into further along the seasons here in the FPHL, even the teams that are in the bottom barrels of the league are still good enough that they could potentially get that win in almost any given night, right?
I mean, we watched Baton Rouge. I was sitting here on the couch watching Baton Rouge last weekend and Monroe's 19-game winning streak. So, any given night, it's kind of crazy the things that go on. Is also kind of crazy the things that went on in that game. But, we got to see our old pal Tucker Scandalberry.
Yeah.
It was it. Any given night, any team in this league can beat any team in this league. And, I think from a Watertown perspective, not to break them down too much, I think the big thing with them is that they're pretty much one line team for the most part.
Right.
They don't have a ton of offensive depth. And I think that showed on Saturday when they scored 2 goals, and Klink and Michigan scored the 2 goals. And then Igor Filipov assisted on both, and Klink and Michigan also assisted on goals. So nobody else on that team had a point in that game. So I think that kind of sums up Watertown a little bit offensively.
Now, I know you look at this. I know Matt Graham and Alex Johnson and probably Brant Sherwood and John Quenneville look at this. When you look at the two teams, the top point getter for the Prowlers has 33 points, and that's Alex Johnson. We look at Binghamton, and CJ Stubbs has 70 points. Obviously, these two teams rely on winning in 2 different aspects of the game. One defensively, and maybe one more offensively. And it's not that they don't have a good defense, and Dominic Tomei has not been playing good, because he has. But it's almost like one relies more on a physical defensive style game, and the other one likes to light up the lamp a lot. How does that clash coming up this weekend? Do you think?
I guess when you have the type of high end talent that the Black Bears have been able to acquire and fit in their lineup, you can score a ton of goals, even if you're playing a defensive style.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you get used to playing at teams like Danbury and Watertown and whatnot. And those are teams that have been giving up a lot of goals this season, not just to Binghamton, but to other teams as well. There might be a little bit of a perfect storm there in that way, because I don't want to say the Black Bears don't care about defense, because I know that they do. They don't give up a ton of shots. Dominic Tomei saw 31 shots, and he played both games last weekend.
Yes,
so,
he did.
They obviously care about defense. But yeah, I don't think the Prowlers should put too much stock in where guys are points wise. But I do think that we could probably get some low scoring affairs this weekend. Obviously, with the 2 best goaltenders in the league that are going to be, and I'm hoping that they do go head to head this weekend. I don't see why they wouldn't in at least one of the games, maybe both. So that'll be very exciting. But that's that's going to be the big matchup, is how well the Prowlers can slow down those big boys for the Black Bears. And I just talked about the depth of Watertown and the lack thereof, but Binghamton can bring it all 3 lines. So there's not really a shift where you're going out against a line that maybe is more defensive and won't be as big of a threat offensively, like you do have with some teams. They'll have kind of their defensive line and whatnot. But Binghamton has guys on all three lines that can really light things up. So I mean, there won't be a shift off this weekend for either side.
No, agreed. The Reid Cooper comes back from Kalamazoo. I think that's just a great opportunity and a great thing for him to, have that time up there, to be up there, to experience that. It's important. Tyson Kirkby's back. I think probably for both teams, having those two players back is, a jolt that is obviously good. You guys aren't going the rest of the season and not winning without Reid Cooper. We all know that. He's one of the best in the league. And Tyson Kirkby's been the captain here for a few years, and he's important to this team. But they're also going to be two players that will probably be standing next to each other a good portion of the game. And, you guys are going to have to probably push Tyson out of the way from being in front of Reid Cooper. How important is that type of, understanding that when Tyson's in the game and he's on the ice, he's more than likely going to be in front of Reid Cooper? Well,
I think we did see the last time these teams played that Reid Cooper can still make saves even when Tyson Kirkby's laying on top of him. So that's, it. But yeah, clearing the front of the crease is something that the Prowlers defense does a great job of. They are always ready to defend their netminder, and not just defense, forwards too, coming back, whether it's the wingers or the center. At any time someone gets within sniffing distance of their goaltender, whether it's Reid Cooper, whether it's Bailey Huber or Jamison Bork, whoever's in net, they're ready to clear out anyone who wants to get too close to their netminder. So, I mean, that'll make for a lot of fun battles. I expect for a lot of action to go on between the whistles and after whistles, because that's the kind of rivalry this is. And that's the kind of way the Prowlers play when they're defending their netminder.
Talk about Bobby Price's game this year.
Coach Paulin has said this before. He is a guy that can just take over a game at any time that he wants. I was actually doing these stats for my media guide, and I do have them pulled up. So just as of late, Bobby Price is 1 point in 10 of his last 11. He's scored a goal in 9 of those games, at least one. Multiple points in 8 of those games. I mean, he's been on fire, but the Prowlers have really found magic with the line of him, Blake Anderson, and Vinny DeCumbis. It's 3 guys who can play with a ton of speed, but they're also smart enough to know when to slow it down and how to, delay and use time and space. They're not just going 100 miles an hour the whole time. And they're tenacious on the forecheck, and they just know where each other is at all times when they're out there on the ice. So, I mean, that line has really been huge over the last couple of months since they've gotten put together, and it's taken a little pressure off the other scoring lines as well, and allowed other guys to get opportunities on other lines too.
But it's amazing for me because Grammer's been in this league for a very long time. He is one of those guys that seems to grind through the season every single year. And he's got 31 points in 34 games this year. It's amazing with all the stuff that he does off the ice, coaching, sales, everything that he does, that he can still get on the ice and still perform like he does.
Yeah, he's, I think Grammer will keep signing himself until he's done playing. So, and why not? He's a smart player, and that's the type of thing that carries you through the latter stages of your career. Is knowing where to be. I think earlier this season I called the top of the crease his office, and honestly I think that's a pretty solid assessment. And he can still dish the puck as good as anyone as well. So. I mean, he's still a very important part of the lineup, when he's out there as a player. And, Coach Paulin being behind the bench all the time has allowed him and freed him up to focus a little bit more on being a player, at least in the game, and in the moment. And, he really does give autonomy to Coach Paul. And, for the most part on the bench, I'd say the decisions made on the bench are, 80 to 90% Coach Paul. And if I'm wrong about that, he'll let me know, but I'm sure he'll let me know. But so I think that plays into it as well, that, he's been able to focus a lot more on being a player and being a teammate in game situations than he had before Coach Paulin arrived, 3 years ago.
How much is the team missing Austin Federley right now?
Well, they create a hole on defense, which, Federley's obviously a natural forward, so he was already filling a hole on defense, and then he got hurt. So they ended up playing 11 forwards and 5 defensemen in Watertown. He's still currently on the IR. I'm not sure if he'll be available this weekend or not, but he brings a steadiness, a consistency to whether he's up front or on the back end. He's another player like Graham who's very smart. And his leadership is still there. He's obviously still in the locker room. He's still around, and he's still able to lead as the captain. But this team has been a next man up kind of team all year long. I mean, there was a point where they had nobody healthy that wasn't in the lineup earlier this season for a stretch of games. So I think the team can fill in the gaps where they need to be until Federley's ready to go.
Reggie Millette, I don't think he's had the season that I thought he was going to have this year. I really thought we'd see more points on the board. He's only played 19 games for you guys, but he's such a dynamic player on the ice. Obviously the fans in Binghamton boo him like crazy for things we don't need to talk about, but they do boo him. But he is a dynamic player. I've always said that him and Jacob Schnapp, they get probably the most hate in the league, yet I think they're very dynamic players, and they have a presence when they get out there that's undeniable, and they help their teams in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they get in their own ways and get into trouble, but again, they're very dynamic players, and sometimes you get that from players who play that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously we talked about the difference in how the Prowlers have play, and, they're more of a defensive type of team. Reggie will get his opportunities, and he's got the ability to turn it on in the big moments. Obviously, he's had some inconsistencies in that he's been in and out of the lineup at different points this season between a couple of injuries. He's been suspended a couple of times, which there's just been an ongoing thing with Ryan Glazer, the Indiana Sentinels.
Yes,
that it's something that continues to pop up, and it's unfortunate because I think it would not have turned into what it is if he had fought somebody on the Prowlers back in November. So I think that's the biggest problem the Prowlers have with him, is that he won't just drop the mitts. It's not like they're just trying to send out their biggest guy. It's not like they're just sending Ben Brockway after him.
Right.
They've offered Ben Brockway. They'll offer Brian Parsons. They'll offer Jamie Bussell. They'll offer anybody on that roster.
Just fight once, right?
Sometimes,
because that could end the whole thing. Is if he just drops the gloves and fights once, right? Yeah,
and unfortunately, I'm sure you know what happened the last time the Prowlers played the Sentinels, and unfortunately, Ryan Glazer's set to come off that suspension the next time the Prowlers are in Indiana.
Of course.
Literally, that's his next game, which is, crazy how things happen. But yeah, and it's I hate that is the kind of thing that's taking away from what a great player Reggie is and everything that he brings to the lineup, because that's just continues to be an ongoing situation. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, as we get down to the stretch run of the season, and Reggie's more back healthy now, he can continue to start to build his momentum, and even with all the maybe less points than you might have expected at this point in the season. Reggie's currently on a 7-game point streak.
That's correct.
that 7 games dates all the way back to early December, just because of the times that he's missed to get on IR or suspended or whatnot. He's had a lot of IR time and time even when he wasn't on the IR because it was full, but he was injured. Hopefully, now that he's back and healthy and ready to go, he can continue to be the dynamic player that he is, because when he's on his game, he can be the best player on the ice, no matter whether the Prowlers are playing Indiana or Binghamton.
So I'm confused about Star Wars night. We talked beforehand, before we started recording, that Darth Vader is predominantly on the jersey. So how do you pitch to your fans that the Black Bears are Darth Vader and the Empire, and that, you guys are Luke Skywalker and the Jedi, and you're trying to take them down? It's a little confusing to me. I don't know if you guys planned this out right, making yourselves Darth Vader when technically to your fans, we're probably Darth Vader and the Empire.
It is very interesting. We just felt like green lightsabers didn't make sense if we were playing the Black Bears on Star Wars night.
Fair enough.
So we weren't sure about that.
So you guys are taking the bad guy role and giving us the blue lightsabers because we wear green at home a lot. Okay.
Yeah. We're it's just, I guess it's just kind of how it came out. But yeah, no, I mean, Star Wars night's going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited for it. Not to take viewership away from Brooks Hill, who does a great job for you guys, but yeah. I will be showing our entire pregame show on my broadcast, and we'll be using those awesome on ice projectors. We'll have a lightsaber battle at center ice, from what I've been told. So there'll be a lot of cool stuff, and I'll show that in full. So you can watch that, and you can switch back to Brooks before you have to hear my dumb voice. No,
you do a great job. Listen, we have some great broadcasters in this league, and you guys do a really good job. No matter what broadcast you turn into, there are a lot of great broadcasters in this league. And, what's great is that they are creating their own opportunities to move up, and don't count yourself out. You are one of the best in this league right now, Will, and you put on a very good broadcast. The times that I've watched some of the in-between stuff, the graphics, you guys now carrying around a second cameraman who probably is getting checked at some of the security points in some of these arenas going, hey, who are you? I don't recognize you. Oh, I'm with the Prowlers. Sure you are, buddy. Get out of here, right? So nobody does that. Nobody has their own second cameraman come in. You guys are doing a phenomenal job over there. I question the whole marketing of Darth Vader on, against the Black Bears, but hey, it's okay. What are you expecting this weekend between these two teams?
Well, I will say this. There's a theory in this league that if you carry expensive enough equipment or you dress up in a suit, you can go anywhere you want in an FPHL building. And generally, I've found that to be the case. And generally, Aiden has found that to be the case. We have had some places, obviously, that they've given us passes for them and whatnot. But, this weekend is going to be, I think it's going to be back and forth. I think you're going to be tight. I do expect there to be low scoring, and teams will get their opportunities. But again, we have the two best goaltenders in the league right now. I mean, both Reid Cooper and Dominic Tomei are top 3 in the league in wins, goals against average, save percentage, and shutouts. Yeah. I mean, these are two of the best that we're getting in the net. So I think we'll see a tight battle, and I think 5-on-5, I think the Prowlers will want to stay there, with Binghamton being the best team in the league in both power play and penalty kill. But we'll see how it plays out. Again, I do think that 5-on-5 play, the more of that you get, the more that would benefit the Prowlers.
I think whoever wins 5-on-5 is going to win these games. I really do. We may be the Black Bears may be really good on the power play, but going against Reid Cooper, it's a different story, right? He's a guy who just knows what he's doing in that net going east to west, which is so very important to cut off those passes before they get into the back of the net. That's very important. Obviously, the defense that you guys have. So I think 5-on-5 is going to be huge in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So we'll see, and again, hopefully don't see too much out of hand. I don't think this weekend will get too out of hand.
No.
I think both these teams know that they're doing a job, and they're Port Huron trying to stay ahead of Topeka and Blue Ridge right now. Prowlers got a little bit lucky as far as other games that went on, with Topeka falling a couple of times over the last few weekends, and now got a little more breathing room for the Prowlers in second place, trying to get home ice advantage for the first time in quite a while.
You guys haven't had it in a while. That is correct.
I believe 2018 was the last time the Prowlers had home ice advantage in a playoff series.
Really? It was 2018? Holy cow. I didn't even realize that. Now, after this weekend, you guys will be making a couple more stops here in Binghamton, if I remember correctly. Looks like March 13th. You're here, and then you go to Danbury afterwards, and then again on April 3rd, and then you guys, where do you guys go after? No, wait.
April 3rd is when, and then we go to Danbury. March 13th, we go to Watertown.
That's right. I was switching those up.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, so 2 more visits after that, which is great because it always means I get to see you pop into the arena, which I always look forward to. Have fun this weekend. Should I say long live the Empire? I don't know.
Long live the Empire.
Because you guys are the Empire and we're the Jedi. There's something about that didn't mark it right. But, Will, thank you very much for coming on. I always appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. Looking forward to, again, a great weekend.
Yes.
It's always good when the 2 best teams in the Empire get together.
I totally agree with you. He is Will Wiegelman of the Port Huron Prowlers, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on. I remember seeing him for the first time as he came into Binghamton as an Albany Devil. We'll talk a little bit about that and a little bit more. He is right now the associate head coach of the Binghamton Black Bears. He's John Quenneville. Coach Q, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on, and it's good to finally meet you. You've been here for a few months now, at least in the official capacity, and it's just really great to get to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bob. I was wondering when you were going to ask me to come on. I didn't think it would take till February to get on your show, but here we are.
Well, I do appreciate that. I actually got a ribbon from Jacob Shankar as well. He was starting to ask if I was mad at him or didn't like him to Brooks Hill, and so I was like, no, he was on IR for a little bit. I was going through all the new players, and I didn't want to disturb you in the first couple months of your coaching, but I appreciate you coming on, and it's just really good to be able to kind of talk a little bit about your story because. As we could start off, you obviously have a few family members that have, played hockey professionally. You have a first cousin who was, head coach, Stanley Cup winning head coach, if I remember correctly. So hockey for you it's always been the thing, correct?
Right. So I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, and obviously, in Canada, especially in, a bigger city like that, hockey is everything. So when I grew up, I was a huge Oilers fan, and my dream was to make it to the NHL, and that's really all I cared about. It was my first love, is playing hockey, and I was very fortunate to have 2 brothers also that played hockey. Just a little backstory on playing hockey. I started when I was 4 years old, and I have an older brother named Peter. He's a couple years older than me, and he was starting hockey at 6, and we went to the rink together. My parents asked the coach if I could start the same day as Peter. I was a little bit younger than the other kids, but the coach said that I could, and that's where I got my start playing when I was 4 years old alongside my brother. So And then I got another brother, my younger brother, David. He still plays. Both my brothers play, actually. And yeah, we really, really rallied around hockey our whole lives. We had a rink in our backyard that was made by my father and my grandfather. They maintained the rink. It was a good sized rink. We had boards. We had big netting behind where our net was. And obviously we have a long, cold winter. So we had that ice from probably, early October until, sometimes early into April. So, when we weren't going to practice with our community teams that we played for, or AAA teams that we played for when we were when we got a little bit older. And also, the school that we went to, we were in a hockey program my whole life. So, we spent our days at school in the afternoons playing hockey, and then we would have hockey practice with our teams or hockey games with our teams. And then after that, we'd go home and we'd play on the outdoor rink until my mom and dad made us come inside. So, growing up, it was all hockey. It was our favorite thing to do. And we really rallied around it, me and my brothers. And so, it's been quite an interesting journey throughout my life. And everything that's really happened has really, all revolved around my hockey career. And it's taken me around the world and back. And it's been an incredible journey.
Now, you said you started at 4, but I'm going to guess that you were probably on skates when you were 2, maybe? Started skating when you were 2 or earlier?
Yeah, I think I probably started skating a little bit before that, maybe when I was 3, or I'm not exactly sure on that. But started skating before that. And then, like I said, started playing hockey for real when I was 4 years old. You start the half ice hockey and went from there, man.
That's insane. Now, you have kids now. Are they already skating?
I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters.
Oh.
My older one is almost 3. My younger one's almost 1. So,
okay. So right.
She's actually begging me to skate. I brought her over to the rink on her shoes a couple times. I went on the ice with her, and she loves it. It's one of the things I miss most about playing is just. My daughter went to a few games last year when I was playing in Finland, and she had a good time. She doesn't know exactly what's going on, but, she was definitely excited about daddy playing hockey. So that was really cool. And I keep telling her that when she gets older, I think it's, just trying to get her walking through the house and running around without getting injured. Maybe we'll get her on skates next year.
Now, if you, because obviously family is so important in hockey. I've been saying that for many, many years. I've been doing the show for a very long time, and I've always said that players don't become hockey players without family, without the support system. And obviously you got that from your father, your grandfather, your brothers, big part of that system. If your daughters decide they want to play hockey and they want to get better at it and good at it, is there even a remote possibility that you could even, start coaching them in 5 or 6 years?
Yeah. And just to speak on the first part when you were talking about, it wasn't necessarily the question, but growing up, I was just so blessed and lucky to have my parents. Obviously there was 3 of us. We're all 2 years apart. I have a sister as well, and she played hockey when she was younger. She didn't last very long, but she played a little bit when she was younger. But for the most part, there was 3 of us playing at the highest level for my whole life. So obviously the commitment that takes, with your time, financially, and just the attention it takes from your parents to be able to, facilitate and help us, play at the highest levels that we could was incredible. And I owe everything to my parents. Growing up, just did everything they could to not only support us and give us everything we needed to succeed as far as, power skating lessons and working with skills coaches and, getting on, the right teams to play on and training off the ice and everything like that. but just also the belief and the support. I would always tell my dad that I was going to make it to the NHL, and he would agree with me. And he said he believed in me, and he wasn't just saying it. I could tell he really believed it all the way. And obviously I ended up making it. Both my brothers got drafted, and I think it's one thing to support your kids and, give them all the resources that they need to fulfill their dreams. But at the same time, having an actual belief in them and thinking that they can really do it is incredibly powerful thing. And I was very fortunate to have that. And as far as my daughters go, I guess we'll see. They can be interested in whatever they want to be interested in. And if that's something that they wanted to do, obviously, I will support them, and I have a lot of knowledge to help them too. So whatever they want, and I'll be there for them.
When you made it to the Brandon Wheat Kings, I would imagine you were drafted by them, correct? Because what a lot of fans don't know, maybe some of the newer Black Bears fans who haven't followed hockey, through the AHL days of Binghamton, and then some of the new ones that come in, players can get drafted into the WHL or the OHL or the Q. And you were drafted by Brandon. Can you talk a little bit about the feeling about going to such an important team in the WHL?
Yeah. And looking like just what we were talking about, all these different things happen as you go throughout your career. And for somebody to have success, a lot of good things need to happen to you. You need to be in the right place at the right time, and, work with the right people, and, get opportunities. And so when I was 14, I got drafted to Brandon out of Bantam hockey, and very fortunate situation for me because the general manager and coach and owner of the team in Brandon was Kelly McCrimmon, who's now the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. And he had an incredible program in Brandon. He had been pumping out NHL players and pros in general for a very long time. And it's an interesting story because I was a very good Bantam player. And I thought that I was going to get drafted in the first round of the WHL draft. When you're growing up and you're 13, 14 years old, the WHL is like your first goal, right? Sure. For Canadian kids, we don't think as much about college. They do a lot more now with how the rules have changed and everything like that. But playing in the WHL was the biggest deal. It was everybody's dream. Everybody wanted to make it to the WHL because then you knew if you made it to the WHL, you had a chance to keep getting better and improving and hopefully, get drafted to the NHL and then maybe be able to make it to the NHL. So it's a dream for everybody. So I was drafted by the Wheat Kings in the third round. I had expected to go in the first round. I was definitely one of the better Bantam players in Alberta. And for whatever reason, I ended up going third round to Brandon, and I was really upset with it. I wasn't expecting to go that late. I wasn't expecting to go to Brandon. It was in Manitoba. It was like one of the last teams I would have thought of. And turns out it was the best thing that could have happened for me at the time. I got drafted to a team that was a great organization. Kelly McCrimmon knew exactly how to develop players, how to develop young men. And I went there, and our first year we were in a little bit of a rebuilding phase. And then the next 3 years we had incredible teams. I think my last year we ended up having 12 draft picks or something like that. We made it to the Memorial Cup. We lost it in the Memorial Cup, but we had a really good team. We won the WHL championship the year before. We lost in the WHL finals to Kelowna. So just the team had a ton of success. I had personal success myself. It helped me to get drafted in my second year to New Jersey. So I was very fortunate the way everything worked out for me, and going to Brandon and being a part of that program for 4 years was really great for my development. And I credit a lot of the time I spent there to to my career.
Now, when you you guys won the WHL championship, lost in the Memorial Cup, but how important was it to have that season turn out the way it did? Because one of the things that I've noticed about the Black Bears over the last couple of years, and Brant Sherwood has been really good about being able to recruit and find players. And not only does he find players, he finds players with A's or C's on their chest, or he's found guys that have already figured out how to win at whatever level they're coming out of. How important was it for you in 2015, 2016 to have that season play out the way it did for the rest of your career? Because, of course, you get drafted to the New Jersey Devils, but there has to be a learning curve. You have to know that you're good and confident and be very confident in your play, but at the same time, the affirmation is getting drafted.
Yeah, so I was already drafted a couple of years prior to that. When I was 17, in my 17-year-old season in junior, I was drafted. But, Bob, at the end of the day, you always want to be a part of a winning team.
Yeah.
Everyone is leveled up when they play on a winning team. Everyone has more success on a winning team. That's both at the pro ranks and the junior ranks. If you have a junior team that has more success, they're going to have more players that get an opportunity to get drafted or get an NHL contract, get an AHL contract. When you're playing pro, the more success your teams have, the better ability you got to get a contract the next year, the better ability you have to move up if you're playing in the AHL. Winning breeds success for not only the team, but for individuals. Everybody wants to get winning players. You see, guys that play on losing teams. It's a lot harder to get contracts. It's a lot harder to, stay in the league for a long time because obviously there's teams that are losing are going to have more turnover than teams that are winning. So, being a part of a winning team is extremely important for the success of individuals long term. I think you look at guys that have really good careers and you'll probably look back in most cases and see that they were a part of winning teams at some point.
Now, obviously, when you go into training camp for the New Jersey Devils that first season, at some point you're going to go down to Albany and play there. I like the arena in Albany. I wish the fan support was a little bit better than it ever really was. Back in the 90s when they won the Calder Cup, they had some fan support, but it kind of dwindled over the years. And obviously, you were there for the last season, I believe it was, in Albany. Can you talk a little bit about training camp, going to like your first pro training camp with the New Jersey Devils, and then going back and having to play in Albany?
Yeah, so my first training camp was actually before my 18-year-old season. So the year after you get drafted, the way the rules were before in Canada, if you're playing major junior hockey, you couldn't turn pro until after your 19-year-old season.
Yes.
So I was drafted as a 17-year-old, and then the training camp the next season before my junior year started was my first NHL training camp.
Awesome. And
at that training camp, the Devils were still a little bit of their old regime. They had Martin Brodeur, Patrick Eliash, Travis Zajac, Jaromir Jagr, some big-time legends of the game. And it was quite an amazing experience for me. I actually did very well at that training camp. I stayed a long time. I was one of the later cuts before I went back to junior. And it gave me a ton of confidence. I felt a lot better even than I thought I would. I went in with a lot of confidence and then felt great about how I did against guys who were, professional hockey players. Guys have been playing pro hockey for a long time, bigger, stronger, faster. And I held my own. I felt really good about it. So when I went back to junior, I had a ton of confidence come to me, and it was a really great experience. So that was my first camp. The next one would have been after my next season, my 18-year-old season, and then my 19-year-old season, like 19-year-old 20 is when I actually went to my first training camp where I could turn pro. The only other way I could have played is what would have been if I made the Devils. If I would have made the Devils my 18-year-old and 19-year-old years, then I would have been able to stay and play pro. But they sent me back, wanted me to continue to develop in junior, and yeah, that was a good thing.
But those are good experiences, though, right? For junior players to be able to go and do that. I do remember the rule was you couldn't go and play in the AHL. You couldn't turn pro and be in the AHL, which I don't know if that rule's changed. Since.
It has now.
It has?
Because guys are able to go from major junior to play college, and basically you can go anywhere. But that would have been actually beneficial for me. Just playing against pros is the best kind of step you can take, because everything is different. You do a lot of dominating and junior hockey, and like I said, we had really good teams in Brandon, so we were, it's almost sometimes can slow you down a little bit, especially in your last year, because you're never going to play that much above a level. For most guys, you're gonna dummy down a little bit to play more towards the level that you're at. And, those training camp experience are fantastic because you're playing against pro hockey players, guys that are better than you. And, you kind of are able to find the best in yourself and improve quickly because you're finding a gear that you haven't really needed to get to before. And, those experiences were really great.
You after your first pro season, you played a couple seasons between Binghamton and New Jersey. Give me your thoughts on coming to, Binghamton and playing here in the American Hockey League. Obviously, this city, this barn has seen a lot over the last 54 years. And of course, you're a part of that because you played here for parts of 2 seasons. And I was actually surprised a couple years ago when Brant said to me, he goes, "Oh yeah, we've got Q coming in during training camp. He's helping out a little bit, skating with the boys, got to keep it under wraps." But he wanted to let me know. And I was like, wait, John Quenneville? And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty awesome." So what was it about Binghamton that when you got here that you were able to say, this is a place where I can have a family, where I can be here and play, because not everybody does that.
Yeah, one thing, Bob, my wife, my beautiful wife. Yeah, my wife is from Binghamton. She grew up here. She was born here. She grew up here. And I met my wife here. So that's the whole story there. I had a great time. So my first year I was in Albany. It was a really good season. I actually I think I played 10 games maybe 12. In New Jersey that year, which was a really good 12 games. Okay. Yep. So that was a really good experience. I got my first taste of the NHL. I had a great season in the minors. Do
you still remember your first goal in the NHL?
Yeah, of course.
Who was it against?
My first goal in the NHL was against New York Rangers at home. It was on the power play. The puck went down to the flank and then down to the goal line to Joe Blandisi, and then he passed it to the back door. And I snapped it short side. I believe it was Antti Ranta in net in New Jersey.
It was. I remember that because I'm a Rangers fan, and I unfortunately remember the things I shouldn't remember about the Rangers, which is when they get scored upon or lose or things of that nature. But
then we went to overtime, and I got a 2-on-1 with Joe Blandisi. I cut the middle. I went to the right side. I sauced it over the stick. He grabbed it and then tucked it in on the backhand, and we won the game.
So you had the primary assist on the game-winning goal.
You bet.
Well, you know what? I think this interview has been fun. Let's move. No, I'm just kidding. But Binghamton. So you meet her here, and you start to kind of get yourself enriched into this community. Obviously, she's from here, but Binghamton is also a hockey city, and I'm sure you've learned that over the years being here. Of course, you then, after your Devils contract, you went and played with Chicago's organization, the Rockford Ice Hogs. I've been to Rockford. It's a great arena as well, great hockey community there. But you continue.
I got traded. I got traded from New Jersey to Chicago on draft day.
Oh, wow. What was that like? So now you've been drafted, and now you've been traded on draft day. Talk a little bit. How did that affect you?
Well, so we'll work back a little bit here. Yeah. So then team obviously it was maybe February or something like that. While we were in Albany, we were started to hear rumblings that we were going to move to Binghamton. and we knew that the Senators were moving up to Belleville. So it was kind of obvious that we were going to move. And like you said, we didn't get the best fan support in Albany, although the fans that we did have were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to them. But so we knew we were coming to Binghamton. Went to training camp. I should have had a lot better summer, and I should have had a lot better training camp than I did. That second year pro, I ended up coming down to Binghamton, and I spent 2 years obviously in Binghamton playing here. And yeah, like you said, obviously it's a really great hockey community. I didn't expect them to be as into it as they were, because this experience I had the year before in Albany was a little bit different. So I really loved the time that I spent playing here. It's like a smaller town, and everybody. I lived with some guys all in the same house on the south side of Binghamton, and it was really great because your downtown is really close and the rink is close, and it was a really great city to have an AHL team. And all the guys on the team, for the most part, liked playing here, and we did pretty well for crowds. Obviously, it would have been nice to have better teams, but no, it was a really fun time. I really enjoyed playing here, and it's just a hockey town. Obviously, I mean, our team's had a ton of success here. I'm talking about the Black Bears, and I think a lot of that has to do with how much support we've had. But in general, people love hockey here, and having a winning team just kind of pushes the fans to want to come even more. And I'm glad we can have a winning team, and it's very exciting, and we have amazing support, and our fans are incredible. So that part of it's been awesome. I mean, so since the team's moved to become the Black Bears, it's really opened my eyes. I came to skate with the guys for a couple years before I would go for my seasons in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And as the season would start, I wouldn't have left yet. So I would come to a couple games, and I couldn't believe how many fans they were getting at the games. And it just speaks to your point. People love hockey here, and they have for a very long time.
And then you probably started to talk to Brant Sherwood a little bit more. When did it dawn upon you that you might want to get into coaching?
So the story is, it was training camp before I went to play in Sweden.
Okay.
So I came down to the arena. I knew that I think I saw in the newspaper or on the news somewhere that training camp for the Black Bears was starting in a couple days, right? And at the time I was going to skate in Cortland. I was doing skating at the J.M. McDonald Ice Center in Cortland just by myself. I was going renting ice and then just skating by myself. There wasn't really much options. I was skating a little bit at the ice house, so I was just running skates by myself. So, and there's obviously not a lot of pros that live around the area, so there's not a lot of training for hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited that training camp was coming, and I had planned, once I saw that training camp was starting in a few days for the Black Bears, I had just planned to walk into the arena and look for the coach and ask him if I could skate with them until I went for my season. So that's what I did. I just drove down to the arena, walked in the room, and I saw Coach, I'll call him Schurzy, Brant, Sherwood, whatever. I mean, it's different because, we'll call him Coach Sherwood for the show. But I walked into the dressing room, and I think he had a big-time shocked look on his face because he didn't know exactly who I was at first. And not that I expected him to, but what he was concerned is that he had brought in a player that he didn't know who it was.
Oh.
So he was like, quickly the wheels were turning, trying to figure out who this guy was. And then I introduced myself, and then he knew who I was. And then I asked him if I could come and skate, and he said, absolutely. And that kind of just started our relationship there. We would have conversations in the morning before I would get my gear on and just talk about hockey and life and whatever. And me and Coach became really great friends. We would text each other and talk during the season and keep up with each other. And then in the summertime, when he would come around town, we would play golf together and chat and hang out and talk on the phone a little bit. So we built up a really good relationship. Me and Schurzy are great friends. So that's how this all kind of started, is me and him being great friends. And so after my season last year,
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling with injuries a little bit, and I was starting to feel like I wanted to stop playing. And, as the summer went on, I was thinking about it, kind of hemming and hawing over the situation. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then maybe a month before training camp, I started talking to Schurzy and just mentioned it to him that I might be interested in coming a coach, if he wanted to have me. And he was excited about that. So we had talked a little bit more and more and more. And then we worked something out, and super happy it worked out. Then I decided I was going to do it, and it's been an awesome time. I've enjoyed every day.
I heard the negotiations with Andreas was hard. Was he a tough person to negotiate with for your contract?
I don't know, man. It was fine.
It was good. It was all right.
Yeah,
all right.
It was all right.
Now I'm going to get a message from Andreas going, "What are you talking about?" But it's all good. I have a great relationship with Andreas. When you made the decision to start coaching, and we heard about it, and I was like, "Wait a second here. A guy with 42 games in the NHL." Played high-level hockey in juniors and overseas, is going to come in here. I said this was going to be one of the best things for single-A hockey, right? Because this is where you're starting off your coaching career, and you can build up from here. And if you decide to coach in the NHL someday, you can work your way there. What did you think about coming in and then starting coaching in a single-A hockey environment? Yeah, Binghamton's great. It's a great hockey market. The team had obviously had some success, and you might have been a part of that a little bit, being here, help training with the guys the couple of years beforehand. But when it came down to it, making your decision, you might have, with your name, don't take this the wrong way, with your name, you might have been able to go to the ECHL or the AHL and possibly get a video coach's job or something like that. But you made the decision to come here. What was your mindset about why, for you, this was the right place to come and start your coaching career?
Yeah, well, there's a lot to that. And I just wanted to see if I was interested in being on the other side of the game, not as a player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity just kind of fell right into my lap. Like I said, I have a really good relationship with Schurzy. We're great friends, and that was the first part. The second part is the team's here in Binghamton.
Yeah.
My wife's from here. My in-laws live here. My wife is extremely close with her parents, and they're amazing people. And obviously it's an opportunity for us to be around them all the time, and my kids to be able to spend time with their grandparents. And so, getting the opportunity to stay around here was exactly what I was, hoping for. And the relationship with coach, that's another big one. And the other thing is, having an opportunity to come in and be a coach. Like you said, I could have gone maybe potentially and try to be a video coach, or started, with a lesser role at maybe a higher level. But the nice part about this opportunity, Bob, was just that, I can have some autonomy, and I can have an opinion, and I can, really help the team in a way that I feel is right, and what I feel is what's best for the team. I felt like coming here and using my knowledge and learning how to coach and learning how to teach players and how to deal with people from a coaches to players standpoint, as opposed to the opposite opposite direction, was just great. It was an opportunity to use my voice and have it be heard at the same time, and have my ideas and be able to implement my ideas. And that's all credit to coach. we have discussions every single day about where the team's at, where we want the team to go, what we need to work on, and all those kinds of hockey operational things. So big thanks to Coach for, giving me the opportunity to, have a lot of input and try to help the team and make my opinions, count. So that's another part of it that was just great about it, is not only did I get to start coaching, I got to learn about how to coach and what to do, but, not just from a point of using my ears and listening and learning stuff, but also implementing things myself and seeing trial and error and seeing, what's working, what isn't, and, having some say in what's going on. And that was important to me. And I'm really happy about, how that's gone.
Has coaching or getting into coaching been an easier or tougher process than you thought it would be?
That's a good question. I think probably a mix of both, right? Like the nice part is that you just, rely on all the knowledge and, experiences that you've had. And as time goes on, so many things kind of come to you easily. They come to you, ideas come to you, and feelings about things and situations come to you. When you play for a long time, you've been on winning teams, you've been on losing teams, you've been on losing streaks, you've been on winning streaks, you've seen kind of everything. You've been on different teams with different makeups. And I think just all those experiences just, kind of come back to you in a way that, they help your opinions and help you, navigate through being a coach, just all the experience and learning. And I've had so many different coaches over my career, and all of them have a different style, not only as people and as coaches, but like X's and O's as well. So,
yeah.
There's so much different information I've been able to take in, and then you kind of take what you like the most from that and then apply it what's applicable to, the team that you have. That's kind of what coaching is, right? It's try to get the most out of the group that you have and figuring out what's the best way to make this group successful based on what we have, in the room as far as, players and people.
Do you think that you've been in NHL locker rooms, you've been around NHL caliber coaches, do you think that you've learned certain aspects about how to get to that point based on those experiences of your own that you can help apply to players at this level to get them to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's both just, motivationally and, we'll call it systematically, right? Because I think a big thing of coaching nowadays is you got to know the X's and O's, and then you also got to know the Johnnies and Joes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think the way people are now, everybody wants to know the why. They want to know why we're doing this. Why does this make us better? Why do you think this is what's going to make us a better team? Why do you think this is what we need to do on the power play? So having a deep understanding of the X's and O's of the game, I think, is really important, because it gives you an opportunity to be able to explain things to people and make them see why you're telling them to do that. Because if you give them, reasons for why you're going to, make the decisions that you're making, or reasons why you're implementing the system that you're implementing, it makes them believe, and it puts them in a spot where they, they believe what they're doing is right, and it puts them in a good spot to go out and try to work their hardest to make that work and execute, the plan that you're trying to put in front of them.
This season, the team obviously has had a great start to the season. There's about 18 games left. It seems like to me that even when a team is on an 18-game winning streak or a 15-game like you guys were, there's always still the little things, the little details that can be worked on. I was at practice earlier today as we're recording this here on Tuesday, watched you guys do a lot of 2-on-1s and breakouts from one zone to another. You and Brant probably still see a lot of things that you guys can work on even when the team is very successful? Like, we just watched you guys win 2 games, 5-0 shutouts. I have a feeling that you and Brant still think, well, we could probably, score a couple more goals here and there, that we missed, an opportunity or two. It's hard for sometimes fans to go and see that they need to work on this or work on that. But for you and Brant, that is something you're constantly looking at.
Yeah, that's what we do. We don't stop working no matter what. If we're winning games, we're losing games. Nothing changes for me and Jersey. We're all about evaluating what's going on and then making a plan. It's all about trying to improve as the season goes on, Bob. So, doesn't matter where you're at in the standings or how things have been going lately. The goal is to always try to continue to improve as you get closer towards the end of the season and the playoffs. You're always trying to build. And at the end of the day, we've been going all season long. The expectations are in place. Guys know what we expect. Guys know the systems. At this point, it's all about habits and details. So we're always tinkering and, reminding and, pushing forward on reminding guys about habits and details and the right way to play. And I think when you have a team that's as skilled as ours, there's a lot of things that we don't, we kind of take our hands off the wheel on because we have a ton of talent. Let's be honest. We have a group of really good players, guys that are able to score, guys that are able to, defend without us needing to tell those things to them. But, there's always things in the game, habits and details, things that are going to make you, better or worse more than anything else. Right. So playing with structure, habits, details, these are the things that are going to make you better. Even if it's 1% better over the course of a week, 2% better over the course of a month, whatever it is, always trying to hammer down the small things in the game that, turn out to give you big success in the end. So, that's our focus. Obviously we've already played 38 games. We got a lot to work with. So for us, as coaches, we're continuing to evaluate, where we need to work and what we need to not work on. I always say to Jersey, the players determine everything. The coaches, we don't determine anything. The players tell us what we need to do. The players tell us what schedule we need to have, all based on how they're playing, how they're practicing, and everything like that. So, everything is basically up to them. We're just kind of facilitators, and, it's our job to recognize, where we need to work, where we need to, lay off. And I think having a good feel for that is an important part of coaching.
You obviously very skilled team, top to bottom, rookies, second year, third year, even eighth year forwards. Was there a guy that when you started watching some of these games that kind of surprised you and was like, wow, this is what the single A skill level has gotten to. It's reached new levels, especially in the 5 years that I've watched the Black Bears. I can't tell you how much the skill level has improved, but is there a guy in the team that just kind of surprises you game in, game out, that you're like, wow, he's got it. He's doing the right things?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm going to start off at the top. I mean, we have to talk about what kind of season Stubbs has had.
Yeah. Great.
Obviously I knew he was a good player coming in, and I had watched some games of him playing before, but he's exceeded all expectations this year. And not just on the points. Like, of course, it's important if you're, a top player in the league to produce and contribute offensively. But the thing that I'm so impressed with Stubbs is just his overall game, how he plays, how he shows up. He leads by example every time he plays. He hunts the puck ferociously. He has a good stick. He does a great job for us on the penalty kill. He plays physical. He has pace to his game. And then, he puts the puck in the net. He makes the plays when we need to make the plays. And he's had an incredible season. 75 points in 38 games, 30 goals, 2 points per game average. It's incredible. He's doing great, and he's been extremely consistent for us as well. So, he hasn't wavered at all. I'm super proud of the season that he's had, and he has surprised me a little bit. He's been better than I thought he was going to be, and we're so happy about that. And then I think Austin Durazio as well. If you want to have one forward and one D, Austin Durazio. I mean, when he came in, I remember he came in, his first skate was, I think it was a morning skate, or it might have been an extra skate with just 7, 8, 10 guys out there.
Right.
And just the way he was skating, the smoothness he had, the way he was handling the puck, and sometimes, you can have somebody in practice who's the greatest player you've ever seen, and then, the puck drops and they're terrible. But I said to Scherzi right away, I said, this guy's going to be good. Trust me, he's going to be good. And he's been dominant. He's been fantastic for us. He's the best defenseman in the league. He contributes offensively. He's great on the power play. But the thing that I like the most about him is just his compete level. He just competes all the time. No matter what zone it is, he plays hard in the D zone. He gets up the ice fast. He's got great gaps on the rush. He defends hard. So another guy who you'd say is surprising would be him. He's taken over that number 1 D spot on the team, and he's been fantastic for us. So it's a couple guys that deserve a shout out. They've been great for us this year, and there's obviously a couple other guys too that have surprised me a little bit. Guys that I wouldn't say necessarily surprised me, because before the season came, I was getting the rundown on all these guys and the kind of the careers that they had in SPHL, Bondo and Janney, guys that I expected to do well, and they are doing well. So, and then maybe another shout out would be Gavin Yates. Yeah, probably having his best season in the FPHL so far in his career. He's been fantastic too. When Yater's, playing with speed and has an attack mentality, he's fantastic. I feel like his shot has been better this year. He's managed to snipe a lot. So, those guys have been, really good for us.
It's amazing too, because I remember when I saw Gavin skate for the first time, I'm like, wait.
And then, you know what? I got to mention Dom too, because Dom's been fantastic.
Oh, without a doubt.
The best goalie in the league. And I'm so happy to see him have the weekend that he did after a little bit of a tough start last weekend. So that was great to see. Dom's been so good, so solid. I really appreciate Dom. He comes in and he works so hard. It's either him or D-Raz. They're first in and last out. These guys spend a ton of time at the rink. He's really committed. He loves playing, and he's been fantastic for us.
How important is it to, because you've been through this, how important is it for someone like Dom or the team to have the start that they had, but then come back against Indiana and just be so solid through both games? How important is that?
I mean, it's great. When Dom got pulled the other night there, it was really the first time he's had a tough start all year. I can't remember one start where I felt that he let in more than one softie or had a tough start at all. He didn't look good. That was really the first time I'd seen it all year. And, I don't know how many starts he's got.
He's played in 20 games, 21 games, I think. Yeah, 20 games.
Okay. And 18 wins, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. He's been great for us the whole time. And, all credit to Dom. He came in, he was in the backup role, and every time he got the net, he played well. We would win. He did that over and over and over again. And like I said, all credit to him, and all credit to C-Mac and the kind of years he's had back to back.
Yeah.
Dom just kind of stole the job. It's not that C-Mac wasn't playing great. I don't think he was playing his best, but he's a really good goalie, and Dom just took the job. He could have just kind of had that can't be denied kind of attitude, and I think it has a lot to do with, his preparation. He's worked hard the entire year. He spends as much time taking pucks after practices as I've seen any goalies do, especially as a starting goalie. So, no, he's been great. He's got a great attitude. He works really hard, and he stops the puck a lot, Bob.
Yeah. I said, after talking to him and having him on the show, I said the one thing about Dom that I loved was that he had time up in the QMHL, and when you play major junior hockey, it either can break you or it can make you. 100%, I totally believe that. And he said he learned so much from his time up there because he didn't have the greatest numbers, he didn't have the greatest games, but he learned a lot from failure. And so I believe that a lot of times you can win 49 games like they did last year, but I feel like sometimes those 6 games that they lost or 7 games that they lost, you learn so much from. And that's what I got from Dom, was that he learned from his time in the Q. When things didn't go so well, he was able to bounce back and have a great career after that.
Absolutely. And we saw that this weekend. He had a tough start, and it was a little bit shocking for everybody because we hadn't seen it before, and he just bounced back and had a great weekend, and didn't allow a goal, made plenty of stops on grade A chances. So yeah, super proud of his performance. He's doing great.
Coach Q, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming opponents, a very physical team in the Port Huron Prowlers. How do you guys plan for a team that plays differently than really the last couple teams you guys have seen on the ice?
Yeah, I think, the first thing, Bob, is especially with the kind of team we have, I think it's always got to be about us, right? The main thing is us and our team, and going back to focusing on habits and details and the things that make us successful. There's a lot of things that we do that we don't need to talk about with the guys because it's stuff that we know and we're good at. And but for us, it's all about habits and details and playing the right way all the time. Port Huron is, a physical team. I think when we play against them, I think the focus is to, play between the whistles, focus on ourselves, focus on playing hard without going over the edge. I think every time we play against them, they're trying to get us off our game. Mm-hmm. They're trying to annoy us. And, the Saturday that we lost up there, I think that's exactly what happened. We just got caught up in their stuff, and it derailed us. We spent too much time worried about the refs, worried about, the things that they were doing, and not worried about us. So for us, it's all about, having good starts, playing hard, playing fast, hunting the puck. And, usually they take a lot of penalties. So, our special teams has been good all year. So, having our power play ready to go, ready to, take advantage of the opportunity, and, having discipline ourselves to stay out of the box and focus on staying on the ice and trying to play as much 5-on-5 as we can. And I think if we do that, we'll be fine. We'll have success. And it does not hurt that the captain, Tyson Kirkby, has come back from his little stint up in Roanoke. Saw him in practice today as well. I think that's also something that will kind of help you guys just going into this weekend. Absolutely. Very happy to have Kirk's back. I hope he's rejuvenated and refreshed and ready to go. We know what his ceiling is, right? We've seen it before. He had an amazing season last year. And, as much as we can get that form back to where it was last year and get him, playing his best, bodes extremely well for us. Obviously, that line of Stubbs and Jansen and Bondarenko has been great. And having depth, having 2 more lines that can contribute like the first line has, especially as of late, is huge for us. And Kirk should be able to, drive the play and influence a line to have success just based on his own play and make the other guys around him better. So, it's huge for us getting him back, and I hope Kirk's plays fantastic. We're hoping for big things out of him, and yeah, just having him back in the lineup is huge, and having his leadership here and, the depth that it brings back to our team and, should bode well for us this weekend. We're really excited about having him back.
All right. I always ask this question. So it's the last question after January 1st. When I do interviews with anybody from the Black Bears, what is the goal this season?
Win the championships, man.
That's it. Coach Q.
For now, yeah. I'll give you a shorter one though. For now, it's to win the league, right? Yeah. So we want to set ourselves up for success. We want to try to make sure we get home ice in the playoffs. So right now, our focus is that Monroe team's been surging a little bit. What have they got? 14 points behind us.
Port Huron? They've got 63 points.
Not Port Huron. I'm talking about Monroe.
Yeah, Monroe.
For the President's, I don't know what they call it in this league, but the President's, equivalent trophy to win the league.
Yeah. They have 81 points right now. Yeah.
So they got 81. They're 14 behind us.
Yep.
4 games in hand, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, staying ahead of them. They've been playing well, so we need to play better. And winning the league is important. It sets us up for success in the playoffs. That's why you want to have a good regular season. You set yourself up not only, like I talked about earlier, improving as a team, building on your game, but also setting yourself up as far as the standings go to give yourself the best opportunity to have success in the playoffs.
Yeah, perfect. Coach Q, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Hope we get to talk again soon. Good luck this weekend in Port Huron. These are the games that I love to watch the most, is when we see Binghamton and another team that plays a different style of hockey get together, because I've always said that, one of the most important things in hockey is mental fortitude, and whether or not you can withstand someone else trying to bring you down into their shit, which is what you were alluding to before with Port Huron. I always love to see how our team reacts to that and whatnot. But thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Bob. We believe in our guys, and I'm looking forward to a great weekend up there. Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, you're welcome, man. All right, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Coach Q that you just heard, and before him was Will Wiegelman from the Port Huron Prowlers. We got you all set up already. You know everything that you need to know right now about this upcoming weekend series between the Port Huron Prowlers and, of course, your Binghamton Black Bears. Now, of course, Tyson Kirkby's back. That's a reminder that should come through the transaction wire, I would imagine, on Wednesday and or Thursday, but that should be taken care of. The Black Bears have enough roster space, so it's okay for him to come in and join the team. No one has to go anywhere. No changes have to be made, which is pretty cool. The Black Bears will be traveling on Thursday out to Port Huron, so that's a reminder there. You'll be able to get to listen to the game on YouTube and or watch it on YouTube with Brooks Hill, so that's pretty cool as well. Support the Power Play Post Show by subscribing on YouTube. When you subscribe and like episodes, it signals to YouTube that hockey fans are engaging, which helps recommend the show to more viewers. As our community grows, we will be able to deliver more interviews, insights, and hockey discussions. Subscribing and liking is the most effective and completely free way for you to support the show. Join fellow hockey fans and subscribe on YouTube today. All right, so we got a pretty long show here for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. Taylor will be back next Thursday. The poster giveaway will be back next Thursday as well. And we're just excited to have you guys listening. And I want to thank you personally for always listening to the Power Play Post Show. It means a lot to me. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. It is the easiest and the best way for you guys to support us. Join the conversation on Facebook. Just search for Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lopolis, our MC, John Patitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, I really, really appreciate Associate Head Coach John Quenneville for coming on the show, and of course, our good friend from the Port Huron Prowlers, broadcaster Will Wiegelman. I am Bob Howard. I will talk to you, hopefully be able to talk to you, this upcoming Sunday on the Weekend Wrap-Up Show right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.